The government has cancelled the Cenotaph walk past on Remembrance Day. Now, I don't know about you, that to me is huge news. What a terrible, terrible victim of the COVID lockdown that is. What a year it's been, Ben, for the military, the disrespect that's been shown to the Churchill Memorial that was vandalised, it was boarded up during the Black Lives Matter protest. The Cenotaph, the flag on it was disgracefully set fire to during those same riots. And now we've just found out today, this morning, that the government has cancelled the walk past of the Cenotaph on this of all years. What's your immediate reaction to that?
Well, that's unacceptable. You know, it's a day we celebrate those who died fighting for our freedom, and they're shutting down freedom on that day. Of all the protests that they've allowed over the last 6 months, all the public demonstrations, the public marches, this is one that has to go ahead. They can do it socially distanced or whatever requirements need to be put in place in order to keep the government happy, but they must let it happen. And where's Sadiq Khan on this? Why isn't he banging the drum for the Cenotaph?
I tell you where Sadiq Khan is. He's on Twitter moaning about Tory cuts to his budget. He's more interested in that than he is in Remembrance Day. He's probably the least patriotic politician of all time. I want to go to you, David. What's your take? And more to the point, what is the reaction from within the veterans community to this announcement today? I can imagine it's gone down pretty badly.
Yeah, I think people just see it as completely unnecessary. If we've got problems with this disease, but there's got to be a way around it, because Remembrance Day is really the heart, as Ben said, the heart of our national story. You know, the people who went before us, who made it possible for us to have our freedoms and liberties that we have today. So it's so important, and we can't just can it at a win. The Remembrance Day parades took place unhindered during the Second World War. And if they had enough problems to deal with them, why can't we do it now?
Don't tell me that we would see a situation where the police were happy for Black Lives Matter to run rampaging and rioting and desecrating those memorials. But what? Would they actually start arresting or giving tickets to veterans?
I think that they're going to be closing it off. That Whitehall will be closed off. I think it would probably be actively prevented if the government has made that decision. And it's just so sad and shame and not necessary.
We're not in a full lockdown now. We can still go in and out of London. We can still go to work. It isn't the same now.
No, it's
why are they doing this?
Outrageous, absolutely outrageous. And, you know, if you think about it, Brexit too is about getting back our freedom.
Yeah.
And is locking down our freedom on a day when it should be celebrated far and wide across the United Kingdom. I mean, I just think they've kind of lost the plot.
I think it's absolutely heartbreaking and absolutely pointless. It's a horrible gesture. It's completely out of touch with the public mood. And think about it. This could be the last year many of our World War II veterans who have probably been building up to it all year have got the chance to remember their fallen comrades and to be respected and remembered. And now, you know, for many of them, this may have been their very last time they could have done that. Look, it's outside. Transmission is negligible outside. They could social distance. They could put measures in place to easily make this happen while keeping people safe. On a day where we should be remembering everyone who served this country from all over the world, all the way through this century and the last, and it's been stolen from us. It's no good saying, oh, you can watch it on the BBC. It's not the same.
We go back to the same old story again, don't we? How long have they known? You know, they knew this was going to happen. They should have had a plan. There's something seriously wrong with the government. And Whitehall. They are not fit for purpose. It's upsetting, depressing, and my heart goes out to those wonderful people. And I don't know. I just don't know what's happening, Martin.
They are trying, I think, to do something akin to the clap the NHS moment.
Yeah.
But when I see those old boys standing on their doorstep, it just makes me feel so sad.
I hope the Queen steps in on this one, actually. I really do hope our dear Queen comes in. I think she'll have something to say on this matter. So I think that, she needs to have a serious good word with Boris on this one. That's my...
June, you're so right mentioning the Queen. It was the Queen's very own words when she said this was the resilient generation.
Yes.
So this is the generation. We heard from that wonderful lady up north. Forgive me for forgetting her name for the moment, but that fantastic lady on COVID who's 82, who was saying this is all a load of cobblers and we should be out there having the choice whether or not to be lonely or to be with other people. And we forget this generation fought fascism. And I can't bear that for many, their final chance of experiencing Remembrance Sunday is being stolen from them.
We could actually do with a Queen's speech. Yeah. We're all feeling so down in the dumps about everything. Every morning you wake up and it's just such a bad atmosphere out there. Everyone's low. We need the good old Queenie to put our spirits back.
What do you make of that, Dave? Is it time for some royal intervention?
Why not? I think certainly there needs to be some voice external to government reminding them of their duty. But there's a really interesting historical context to this, because 100 years ago or so, when the Cenotaph was built, it only came about because hundreds of devastated families and mothers used to turn up to Whitehall to demand a national memorial. And first, it was sort of like a shackled together wooden arrangement, but it was so potent and draped in the Union flag and people turning up, laying flowers, that eventually, in spite of the obstinacy of government, it was turned into something more solid, as we see today, the Lutyens Design Memorial. But I think that's a kind of a lesson of what we're seeing repeated now. Government needs to look outside of its box and to see what the people want for once.
I mean, what wise words, and maybe it's time for that. Maybe it's time for a bit of people power. And yet here we are talking about shutting off Whitehall on the most sacred day of the year. It fills me with an abject sense of bewilderment, which I think slowly will start turning to rage.
Depriving freedom from those who fought for it. It couldn't be worse. It's unbelievable. And actually, I think we're at a tipping point. I get the feeling, with all that's going on in the north of England, with these tier 3 lockdowns, etc., we're at a tipping point. People are getting fed up.
People can only take so much. And as I said, I think it's dark days of patriotism as well. It's become a dirty word. It's the same in America. Flags have been desecrated. Memories have been desecrated. And the memories of the fallen should be the most important duty of any nation, to remember those that fought and died for the flag, for the nation. I think this is unacceptable. Nobody wants to see the streets packed full of people risking spreading COVID. But there has to be a compromise. There has to be another way, other than closing off the bloody road. There's got to be another way. What do you reckon?
Completely agree.
You put it so powerfully. I think everyone was in awe.
Yeah, I think you have to have a bit of a laugh, because like at the moment it just feels like what dark days for patriotism. And like I say, back to Brexit. We're talking about maybe a deal being done on the 15th of November. That was touted today. So if the 11th of the 11th doesn't happen, and then a Brexit comes that's not good,
and which deprives us of our freedom again,
right? Then we have a common theme, and that is why it's just so important to keep talking about these issues. I think we've got to make ourselves, annoying, irritating. We've got to keep saying it.
Be vocal.
We can't just like stay in our boxes and be subservient. Anybody that's watching the show, please get involved, support this. And I think actually after this call, David, why don't we talk about, what could be a plan? Let's do something positive. What would a responsible Remembrance Day look like? What do Express readers think? What should we do? Let's have a poll. Let's write to MPs. Let's get angry. Let's be heard. We can't just take this lying down.